Welcome back to the programme. The unresolved Brexit issue casts a dark cloud over Brussels as leaders begin to gather for a two-day summit. Behind the scenes, UK and EU negotiators head back to the table. Despite 9 months of troubled talks, both sides conceded that large gaps still remain. But leaders did agree on one thing at last night's make-or-break dinner. Deal or no deal, a decision will be sealed by Sunday. Evelyn Laverick reports.
Prime Minister Boris Johnson leaves the EU Commission after lively and frank discussions over turbot and pavlova with EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. The 3-hour dinner was designed to break the deadlock over a post-Brexit trade deal, but ended without agreement. The talks will continue until Sunday, though. Earlier, when Johnson had arrived, the pair had kept their distance for COVID reasons. But significant gaps reportedly remain. A source close to the negotiations said that while the difficulties are real, both sides still believe a deal is possible. Von der Leyen later tweeted, "We understand each other's positions. They remain far apart. The team should immediately reconvene to try to resolve these issues. We will come to a decision by the end of the weekend." The major sticking points concern fishing rights, business competition rules and how a deal will be policed. Time is running out to reach agreement before December the 31st, when the UK's transition period ends and it stops following EU trading rules. Already there are long queues of lorries Britain-bound at Calais as British companies stockpile goods ahead of the UK's departure. With only 3 weeks to go, it's still unclear if there will be a deal or a chaotic economic rupture between the UK and the 27-member bloc. Evelyn Laverick, Euronews.
Well, let's get more of the detail. Head to Brussels to speak to our correspondent, Shona Murray. Shona, here we go. Yet another deadline now, this Sunday, to agree if a deal is even possible. How might this be different to the deadlines we've been talking about before?
That's right, Rosie. Another day, another deadline, another knife-edge situation. But yes, we did hear last night that the conversation was lively, that it was frank, and the actual real deadline is Sunday, because I think everybody's getting really sick of it and they can see that a deal can be done, but it's about a political will. But I caught up earlier with David McAllister, who's the chair of the EU-UK coordination group here at the European Parliament, and I asked him how he felt about it.
They're going to continue. Both leaders have asked for negotiators to reconvene, and the new deadline is now set for Sunday. So hopefully we will have clarity on Sunday, perhaps Monday morning, if there will be an agreement or not.
But I suppose, could you say that last night's discussion was a little bit more positive than, let's say, Monday's discussion or Saturday night's discussion with Ursula von der Leyen and Boris Johnson? Was there a little bit of an improvement?
As long as both sides are still talking, there's still hope that we can find an agreement, but let's be very blunt. The stumbling blocks remain, and there are still considerable differences on the three main issues: the level playing field, governance and fisheries.
One thing that Boris Johnson said before he left the House of Commons yesterday was that the EU wants the UK to follow every time it makes changes or raises its standards in the level playing field when it comes to the environment and labour and so on. But that's not exactly quite true, is it? The EU wants the UK to not regress when it comes to, or lower its standards. Could you just explain that, to clarify it, I suppose, to in particular our UK listeners?
We have reached a crunch point. It is now about translating principles into rules, and more importantly, these rules need to be guaranteed by a robust governance framework. The level playing field is a guarantee that we will have fair competition on both sides of the channel. The level playing field has many different standards when it comes to the environment, consumer protection, state aid, just to name three. And both sides have agreed that the current status quo shall be maintained. But standards develop, like societies develop, like economies develop. And what we as European Union want to see is that these standards will develop in a coherent way in the future. And if one of the two sides decides not to follow these standards, then we need a robust mechanism how to then retaliate.
So would you say it's a little bit like the equivalence mechanism when it comes to financial services?
Yes, I think it's not about dynamic alignment, but it's about non-regression. And why is this so important for us in the European Union? We are offering the British businesses tariff-free, quota-free access to the world's largest single market, something we've never offered a third country before. But this comes at certain conditions, and the condition is that we guarantee fair competition on both sides of the channel for our businesses and also our citizens. So we both have an interest in having fair competition.
Obviously, we have Sunday as the deadline, but of course, 48 hours ago, Wednesday was the deadline, and there's been many deadlines. So what is the absolute deadline, particularly from your own point of view as an MEP, wanting to ensure that the Parliament can ratify this before it's implemented?
Since the UK government is very clear that on the 1st of January they will have left the customs union and the single market, the deadline of all deadlines is of course the 31st of December. But we need sufficient time before this 31st of December to ratify a possible agreement. Already we are under enormous time pressure here in the European Parliament. The European Parliament is ready to be as flexible as possible to cooperate with the Council and the Commission. We are ready to accept a not legally scrubbed English text as soon as there's an agreement, but still we need sufficient time. So really this Sunday, perhaps for Monday morning, is a firm deadline if we want to get this done between Christmas and New Year. And
just very briefly, David, if you were to bet, is it a deal or no deal?
I still hope there will be a deal because it would be beneficial for both sides. It would be the better option, but one thing is clear. We don't just want an agreement, we want a good agreement, and a good agreement can't come at any price.
David McAllister, Chair of the EU-UK Coordination Group here at the European Parliament, leaving us with some hope that, first of all, Sunday, Monday morning is the actual hard deadline and that there will hopefully be a deal within the coming days. Rosie?
Shona, we should start doing a tally of all the different deadlines that have been and gone. Thank you very much for your analysis. Our correspondent there in Brussels.